Welcome to Aspire to Retire. I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. I'm here with Ralph and Tim Short, along with Scott Earhart, all from Welcome Home Financial Partners. Good to be with you guys again today.
Thanks for having us.
Always a pleasure. And today we are talking about how to protect and grow your money. I know it's something that we all want to do, right?
Absolutely.
Because I think I had that money tree in the backyard when I was a kid, but it must have gotten cut down because I don't know what happened to my money. But I will say, as we look at retirement, how can protection and growth in our money coexist?
I think one thing that people need to understand is that they can coexist. So many people have been ingrained with, I'm either protecting my money or I'm growing my money, and it's not either or. There are strategies out there, there are products, there are vehicles out there that can do both. And another thing that I always try to get clients to understand is not all of your money has to be in the same place. It doesn't all have to be in this fund or in this product. You can have multiple buckets of money, some that are more growth geared, some that are more protection geared. And if you diversify in that way, your money will be protected and it will grow as you move through retirement.
You have the best of both worlds when you do things like that, Cheryl. So that's the thing that you need to understand. Always make sure that you know where your money's going because you're going to need it at some time or another.
Yes.
And money has different purposes, like Scott said. Some of it should be for protection, for your income, and some of it should be for growth.
Yeah, so how can it help our income needs?
Well, if you don't have it, you don't have income, right? So we got to make sure that we have it protected. But like Scott's talking, you know, over the years, everybody's always thought that, hey, if I protect my money's not going to grow. But there are certain tools that you can use. Everybody always thinks that if you protect your money, you just take it out and you put it in the bank, right? Well, banks probably aren't going to pay you a whole lot.
No.
So if you're not keeping up with inflation, you're losing your buying power. You might not be losing any money, you won't be losing the dollars, but if you're not keeping pace with inflation, you're kind of eroding what you've saved, right? So we've got to make sure that that money's going to be there to create that income because income's the foundation of retirement.
Yeah, and are people hesitant to protect their money? Are more people trying to throw risk out there and make it grow, and then they end up losing money? What do you see?
A lot of people are hesitant because they don't understand concepts and strategies that you can use to protect your money, but have it protected at the same time.
And I think you hit it on the head when you said people don't understand. A lot of people haven't been educated on
Yes.
all the vehicles that are out there, all the tools that are in the toolbox at their disposal to use to generate income, to generate long-term growth for their money, protection. All these things are available to them, but not everybody sits around and looks at things like we do, and they don't know they're there. So that's what we're here for, is to educate you on what is available to you and help you pick what's best for you and your lifestyle.
But why is that? Because most people are selling something that is just what they want you to have, not necessarily what you want, not necessarily what's best for you. It's just like, all right, it's just growth, 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 but guess what? Sooner or later, you may be in a world of hurt.
Yes, like we talked about those plans before, the 2040 retirement plan, 2050 retirement plan. It's not tailored to you specifically as an individual. It's just you're kind of lumped in with this targeted retirement year.
Right, and for the most part, that's just stocks and bonds, and that's what people are kind of familiar with is
Right.
just stocks and bonds. Bonds are safer and stocks are volatile, right? That's what everybody's always been told, and people place their money into bonds when the market's not doing well. But guess what? In recent history, bonds have not done very well. So if you're going to lose money in that, you know, what are you going to do? So you've got to make sure that you take your money, you invest your money somewhere, or you
Right.
protect your money somewhere. You've got to make sure that that money is going to be there. But there are different tools, there are different avenues where you can place your money that you might not be accustomed to. So unless you go out and you seek that advice, how are you going to discover those vehicles?
Exactly, and this is great advice, but what if you're somebody in your 20s? You're just getting started, you're just trying to pay the bills, and you don't have any money to save. What are you supposed to be doing?
Well, the number one thing I would say to you is I understand that because we were all in our 20s when we didn't have a lot of money. But if you're working for a company, number one, that has a retirement plan, a 401k or something like that, and they're matching, the best thing that you can do for yourself in your 20s is to put that money to work, allow yourself to get that money that you're going to get from them. So if they're matching 6%, if you put in 6, do that.
That's
because
free money.
It's free money. So last time you turned free money down was when, Cheryl?
I never turned down free.
that's
My
kinda what
dad
I
told
thought.
me never to do that.
I can understand that. But there's a big difference between what you're doing in your 20s and what you need to be doing in your 60s. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And if we do have people in their 20s watching us right now, if you do start now, your 60s are going to be a lot easier. You're going to have a lot more decisions or options in you if you do start in your 20s.
But the other thing I would say is most people want to have that $1 million account because they think that's what it is. Now it's taken, according to all the surveys, 1.2 million instead of the one because of the way everything is. But if you start in your 20s versus your 60s, how much more is it going to take?
Exponentially.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might be $200 a month here.
Right.
It might be $5,000 a month here. So where can you afford it more?
Yeah, and what I will say about the workforce too is that is changing. A lot of people aren't specifically an employee for a company anymore. They might be an entrepreneur doing 1099 work here, so they don't have any kind of company match.
Right.
Right, but they still can afford something for themselves. They set up their own retirement plans because guess what? You can take that off your taxable income, so it's like putting money back in your pocket.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a plan because you're self-employed or if you're a contractor, you need to buck up and do something for yourself.
And you're going to have some other options available to you that an employee doesn't. So it's you can use a lot of really nice strategies, especially being self-employed.
Absolutely.
And I tell anybody that's self-employed that you need to get with an advisor because there are, as Tim said, a plethora of options out there, and choosing the right one can be pretty difficult. So working with somebody that has some experience with them is probably the best advice I could give.
Yeah.
And
Let's
working
go.
with a fiduciary too. So.
Absolutely.
Fiduciary who
Yeah.
has the best interest in mind of the clients, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Let's jump from 20s to 60s. Let's say you're right there, you're in the red zone, you're going to be retiring. What should they focus on right then and there?
Well, what you need to focus in on first and foremost is you got two jobs at this point. You got to create income and you've got to protect your savings, right? So rule number one is you've got to create that income. And how do you create that income? That's coming from your assets. You got to protect your assets to create that income. So they go both ways. So you've got to make sure once you're getting close to retirement and in retirement, you've got to make sure that your paychecks that are coming to you are going to be protected. So if the market goes down or something else happens, you've got that money coming to you. Because guess what? Life doesn't stop.
No,
Your bills are not
it
going to
doesn't.
stop.
And I want to say too, even if somebody is watching and they already have retired, they can still get help. They can still call you guys and get that advice. And we do have a special offer I want you to tell us about too.
That we do. So the first 10 callers who save $250,000 or more for retirement, pick up the phone, call 833-897-4845. We'd like to personally invite you into the office where we'll create that very own retirement income plan just for you. And Cheryl, the best part is we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
All right. You should add a little smile at the end when you say that. Ching! Make your little
Ching.
eyes. Yeah, do that. See, look at that smile. Smile for the camera. All right, we need to take a brief break here, but we are going to open up those phone lines, as Tim said. So if you would like some personal advice about retirement planning and more, call 833-897-4845, or you see that QR code on the bottom of the screen. Yeah, scan that with your cell phone, and that way, if you're a little phone shy, you can schedule your appointment that way and get the help that you need. Coming up next, we will help you understand those financial account statements. Ooh, don't go anywhere.
Imagine the future you've been wanting all along. A world where your retirement income is covered and you don't have to worry. Your financial assets are protected, and you have an experienced team fighting every day to grow your assets. Imagine a company creating tax strategies and legacy plans to make sure your loved ones are protected no matter what happens. At Welcome Home Financial Partners, we're an experienced financial team with the right professional licenses and an unbreakable commitment to making our clients feel like family. Here you'll find determined, friendly faces in a world filled with obstacles and problems. We help plan your retirement income to ensure you won't run out of money in retirement. We build in protection to make sure your assets are covered on all sides. We focus on growing your wealth to combat inflation and rising cost of living. And we design tax strategies to help you avoid paying back what you shouldn't while protecting the people you love. Our team never stops fighting for you. With an unparalleled work ethic, we work hard because we know your future depends on it. We're proud to help you choose the life you want to live in retirement. Welcome to your financial future. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. We are talking now about those lovely account statements that you get in the mail, or maybe you get them emailed to you and you're looking at this. I don't know what to look for. I just see, okay, this month, did I gain money or did I lose money? And I get really upset when I see that I lost money. So let's talk about these account statements. Guys, what exactly should we be looking for when we see these? Because I get emotional when I see that I've lost money and just want to just pull out of the whole thing. So you know what is this?
You emotional?
Me? Emotional?
Well, the issue is a lot of people, when they open those statements, they don't even know what they're looking at. And
Exactly.
that's what we can at least walk them through what they have. And we see that a lot, is people will come in and say, hey, look, this is what I have, and I don't really even know what it is or what it's doing. But I know that, a lot of people will come in and they'll look at the percentages, So, hey, I'm up 10% for this quarter, but year to date, it still shows I'm down 4%. How can that be? I'm up 10%, but it says year to date I'm down 4%. That means that you're still down for the year. So you've got to take a look at so many different things. Fees come into play as well, too, because if you're not getting the proper advice and somebody's just charging you a fee just to hold your account, there's so many things that are going to come into play. But when you open it up, if you don't know what you're looking for, that's where you need to seek that advice. If you're not working with anybody, you definitely need to call someone.
The other thing I would say is people talk about percentages going up or going down. To me, percentages doesn't mean a thing. What you need to look at is on December 31st, if I had $200,000 in the account, and today it is basically on June 30th, it's $180,000, but in March 31st, it was at 210. Why is it at 180? It's just how much money do you have in the account? Because last time I checked, you're going to be able to spend money, not percentages. So those are situations that people need to understand. It's all about the dollars. It's not about percentages and things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you make 7% on 200 grand, or you make 7% on 180 grand, what's more? It's the same percent, but it's not the same dollar.
No, right. Now, what about those fees that some advisors have? Like you said, some of them might charge $50 a month or something. How do you know if you're getting what you pay for?
Well, that's a good question, and a lot of people don't really know the answer to that. But there are some people that are just looking at the percentage that they're being charged, and they don't take a look at the investments that they're in.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people get caught up. And we talk about taxes a lot. And the phrase that we always use is, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. Well, guess what? If you're an XYZ mutual fund and the expense ratios and all the other fees associated with it are 5%, but you don't really realize that, the fee that they're charging you is only 0.5% to manage the account. You made 10%, guess what? You probably made north of 15%. You just didn't realize it.
Ooh.
So those are things, your investments can still have additional fees and charges to it that you might not be aware of, and that's what we can walk you through as well.
Sure. Those, there's a lot of what's called embedded fees or hidden fees that are out there, is what Tim's saying. But really, when I have a client talk to me about fees, I ask them one question: do you find value in this? You are paying XYZ percent, and do you get value back? If the answer is yes, then you're probably in a good position. If the answer is, well, I don't know, or no, then we need to take a hard look at what are you getting for what you're paying for.
Yeah.
But if you're paying a percentage and you're not getting any consultation with the advisor, then that's where I'd have a problem, because you need to know what you're paying for.
Exactly.
The advice, or is it just a set standard?
Just to hold the account open.
Hold the account
Right,
open.
which
So-
I think is ridiculous.
And the other thing they need to understand is that fee is going to be there whether you're making money or not.
Yeah, so true. So true. So why is it important to have an advisor who's focused on income planning versus accumulation?
Well, the thing I would say to you, number one, is when you're in retirement, you've got to flip that switch and understand that you now need to start taking money out of these accounts. And just because somebody's great at making money, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can have a plan for income coming back to you the most tax efficient way or to accomplish the goals that you want. I'll give you an instance. I had a client just the other day that came in and he had a quick question for me. He said, all right, I'm 74 years old and I was just informed that I needed to take my RMDs out, which I didn't know anything about, and now they're penalizing me because I didn't. And the advisor told me that it wasn't his fault. Well, I'm sorry, they're supposed to be
Oh.
sending out letters to you saying that this is how much you have to take out
Yeah.
on RMD. So that's the kind of value that we give to people, is let them understand that they have to do certain things when it's
So
appropriate.
you let them know there's kind of a
Correct.
guideline or timeline that comes out. Hey, you need to do this.
Yeah, it's all about communication, and that's
Yeah.
where a lot of advisors fall short is, hey, they're good at getting your business, but after that, the communication is not there. And guess what? That's more important than just getting the business, is keeping that open line of communication, whether they need something or, hey, we feel like we could do something a little bit different, or you need to take your RMD this year, or what have you. There's so many things that can come up throughout the years.
For advisors that are focused on retirement planning and longevity planning, communication is the key, because there's a lot of things that are going to happen as we age up. What RMDs are going to happen. That's something that the government says. That's a big change that happens in your life. Well, what else is going to happen as we get older? We're going to have life changes. We're going to have a new grandbaby that we want to set up an account for. We're going to get some bad health news that we need to make sure that we can pay for and pay for things. That's what we specialize in, and that's where our communication really comes into play. We're going to be there
Definitely.
to pick up the phone, help you or help your heirs facilitate any transaction that needs to happen.
And I would also say that a lot of times, something might happen. You might lose your spouse, or the kids are having to take care of that parent at that time. They don't understand what they have, so now they have to call us or somebody.
Right.
But they usually call us and say, what do I do now? And that's what the value added that we bring to our clients.
Because it's probably people scrambling at that point, going, okay, help, hold my hand, walk me through this. How scary could retirement look if you were to go at it alone? Why is it that much more important to have an advisor?
Well, you're not going to be prepared, number one. If you go at it alone, you probably haven't done the proper steps. Back to the jigsaw puzzle we've talked about
Yeah.
before, you're not going to have all those pieces because people only think about those assets, right? If you go at it alone, 9 times out of 10, people are only focused on, hey, this is the amount of money that I've built. This is my wealth. That's all that they focus in on. They don't focus in on, what legacy they want to leave. They don't focus in on long-term care. They don't focus in on proper tax plan. They don't focus in on those things. So if you go at it alone, there could be some serious issues down the road, and you might have to rely on somebody else, or might have to go back to work or change your lifestyle. And I know that's not what anybody wants to do.
And what I tell a lot of people that have gone at it alone is, why are you doing that? You're in retirement. Go be retired. Enjoy the years you have. Let us worry about that for you. Take this off your plate. I know when I'm in retirement, I don't want to sit there and check my accounts every day and worry about this and worry about. I want to go, hopefully hang out with grandkids, kids, maybe play some golf, go fishing. I want to do something of enjoyment, not worry about what's my money doing.
Yeah, very good advice there. All right, let's talk about that special offer once again and get those phones ringing.
Absolutely. So first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, we'd like for you to pick up the phone and dial 833-897-4845. I'd like to personally invite you into the office where we'll create that very own retirement roadmap just for you. And Cheryl, the best part is we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
Smile. Ding. That's going to be my thing now with you. I want you to smile at the end every time you say that. All right, guys, it is time for a commercial break, but keep those questions coming. Take advantage of our lovely professionals and call for advice now. Once again, 833-897-4845, or see that QR code on the bottom of the screen. Scan that and schedule your appointment. Coming up next, we will feature some of your burning questions. Stay right there.
It was the longest running bull market in history. Everything was looking up. While inverted yield curves pointed to a recession, the market kept going. And then, if you're planning to retire soon, that could spell bad news for your returns. Our team can help you better withstand the bear market. Now more than ever, you need a financial professional to stand with you. Visit our website to learn more about our services. You can call or email our office to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. It is our favorite part of the show. Time to feature some of your questions. So before we get started, what can our viewers expect by being one of the first 10 callers today?
So they'll receive a package from us in the mail, have a little bit of information about us in the company, in preparation for their upcoming appointments in office at one of the 3 locations around Richmond. And once they come in for their first consultation. They'll get to meet us. We'll get to meet them. We'll get to know them on a one-on-one basis, figure out what their aspirations and their goals are for retirement, and create their very own retirement roadmap.
It's kind of like a personalized psychologist almost. Kind of think of it that way a little bit.
Okay.
I sometimes call ourselves financial psychologists.
Yes, you just can't prescribe medication.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's get to those viewer questions. Billy from Bon Air says, I want to see my savings grow, but I absolutely do not want to take a loss. What solutions are out there?
Well, for Billy, there's a lot of solutions out there. Like we talked about earlier in the program, it's not just this or that. It's not just protection or growth. So we can get something put together for Billy that is going to show him some market-like returns with absolutely zero risk. That product exists. There are guaranteed rates out there that are going to beat most banks. There's a lot of different tools out there to his disposal. What he's got to do is probably scan the QR code or give us a call and come in and chat about them. We'd love to show him some options.
All right. There you go. Next up is Rachel from South Chesterfield. Rachel says, I've always kept money in CDs. Is there a better growth solution to guarantee growth of my money?
I would say that for most people, when they start thinking about, 60 years ago when people were saving money, if they had any left over after they paid their bills, they went to the bank. There are so many different things out there now that you have access to that can help you besides the bank products, besides the CDs or passbook savings account. But the only way that you would know is, like Scott says, you need to call us so we can sit down with you. There are ways that you can protect your investments and grow it at the same time without having to take those fees from the banks if you don't need that money anymore.
All right, good answer. Tom from Williamsburg is next, and Tom says, when I was working, I always got advice on my accounts from people at work with the same retirement plan. Now that I'm retired, I'm not sure what to do with my accounts. How do I know if I'm heading in the right direction?
Well, I would say for most people, that's where they get most of their advice, either at water cooler talk or across the fence or neighbors or talking heads on TV.
And we're not talking heads on TV.
No, we're not. But we're talking about the internet. We're talking about things like that.
Yes.
And here's what I would say to you. How does your neighbor know what your goals are? How does your coworkers, do they have the same aspirations that you do in retirement? I would say probably not.
Right.
So what you basically need to do is come in and get a second opinion so you understand what it is, so we understand what it is you're trying to do, so we can help you get to that point where you want to be. Because this is not a DIY project, because once you make a mistake, it's kind of hard to put it back into place. What's the old saying? It's hard to put the genie back in the bottle.
Oh, no, right.
Yeah.
Once the
Would you
genie's out of the bottle.
And that's the issue. We see it a lot, is that a lot of people, they work shoulder to shoulder with somebody for 20 to 30 years, and they're just kind of mirroring each other when it comes to their 401ks or what have you. But 9 times out of 10, that person is not going through the same issues or same scenarios that they are. So you've got to align your investments and everything based off of your situation, because if your coworker is going to work another 20 years, more than likely they can be more aggressive than you can be, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just as aggressive as somebody who's going to work another 20 years and the market collapses, you might not be able to retire the way that you want to. So those are things that you got to look at. But we kind of use a little bit of a joke, but it's true, is if you were going to have heart surgery, are you going to go to an auto mechanic for that? It's a different profession.
I sure hope not.
So if you're working in a different field, why are you going to go to your coworker who's working in a different industry instead of going to the professional?
That is a very good point, because there's always that self-proclaimed expert who you work with who they think, oh, just do what I do. It works for me. It'll work for you. Well, guess what? Does your bank account look like this person's bank account? Probably not.
But the other thing I would say to that point is this. They might tell you they did 30% this year, but how do you really know that? Because there has been a little bit of exaggeration between coworkers. Wouldn't you agree to that?
It could
Never.
be.
Never.
But also, too, if they did make 30% this year, how much did they lose the prior year?
Yeah.
So you never know
They
the
don't
full
know.
picture.
Okay. Sandra from West Point says, is it possible to grow my retirement account without taking any risk? I think we've talked about this a little bit.
We have, and it's a question that we get a lot. As we talked about at the top of the show, people think it's either it's growth or protection. Sandra, there's absolutely ways for you to grow your money, have it fully protected, make sure it's going to be there for you throughout your retirement years. But you've got to reach out to learn about these tools. And we'd be more than happy to sit down with you, show you what they are.
Yeah, and I think this question keeps coming up because, like Scott's saying, is a lot of people just don't know. They don't think it can coexist, but it can. So that's why people need to pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Dennis from Bumpus says, I have retired and left my 401k with my old company. I feel as though they made me take a lot of money, so I feel like I might leave that money there. But I hear that I should move it to an IRA. I don't know what to do. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think for the most part, if you leave an employer, there's no point in leaving your money there, right? Did they leave you any of the company equipment with you when you left? Probably not. So why are you going to leave your money with them? But we've talked about it before on the show, is that inside of that 401k, you only have a few options. Why not take it, roll it to an IRA where you've got options that you can pick? We can help you with that as well, but you've got more control, you've got more ownership of that at that point in time, and you can select what you like to invest in. There's different ways of doing it. Last thing I would do is take it out and roll it into a current employer plan, because then now you're stuck as long as you're working at that employer with those limited options available to you there. But that's what a lot of folks, but that's what a lot of folks end up doing.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail. Control is the key word there for me.
Yeah.
Take control of your money. If it's at the old employer, you don't have control. If it goes to the new employer, you don't have control.
All right, guys. Well, gosh, so much to talk about here, and this wraps up today's show. But before we finish, special offer one more time, Tim.
Yep, absolutely. The first 10 callers who call 833-897-4845 who've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, we'd like to personally invite you into the office where we will create that very own retirement roadmap just for you. And the best part is, Cheryl, we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us today on Aspire to Retire. If you'd like some advice, once again, give us a call now or scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen to schedule an appointment. On behalf of all of us at Aspire to Retire, I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.